Mr Chairman. This is a very important debate and a very serious bill about parole. And some of which the opposition raise, I think we can agree with, that we do have a problem with New Zealand, and we need to be thinking about the sort of causes of crime and the sort of lives that young people are leading that sort of destined them to a tragic life of crime. And we're not going to deal with that problem just by ever tougher sentencing. I think we can all acknowledge that. But I think we also acknowledge that when people do commit a violent crime, they do need to be criminally punished. And again, I think there's agreement across the House about that. We also know, Mr Speaker, that there's been an ongoing and grave concern in the public, and it's easy to understand why, about some very nasty criminals who commit heinous crimes against people, who get released, commit another heinous crime against a totally innocent person, get put away, come out, and then commit another heinous crime. And the victims and their families are saying, how can it be that these people keep getting let loose on law-abiding New Zealanders? And on this side of the House, in the ACT Party and the National Party, we actually agree with them. And we say, quite. We also want to do this, Mr Speaker. We want to send a message to criminal offenders that repeat criminal offending won't be tolerated. And that's the whole point of warning first offenders that actually they're on their first strike. And that actually being told that they're on their first strike sends a powerful message. Because what are they going to do? They're going to go away and they're going to serve their time. They're going to be eligible for parole and they're going to be thinking about it. And are they going to come out and say, oh, OK, I'll go out and I'll commit a crime again and I'll get my second strike? Well, if they're vaguely rational, Mr Chairman, I don't think they will want to get a second strike. Because when they get a second strike, it's actually going to be no parole. And if they get a second strike, they're in danger of getting a third strike. And understand this. This isn't about the young guy that absent-mindedly steals a candy bar. This is about people that commit violent crime against people. And it's not the first time, it's the second time and the third time. And what this side of the House is saying is let's send a message. Get a strike, you'll be told it's your first strike and you're on a warning. Doesn't it make sense then that young people would say, oh, I don't want to do that again because it's going to escalate? Now, there are sad people. Well, see, Leanne Darzell doesn't believe this, but I can understand that because I've got to know Leanne Darzell and her attitudes to justice. And while I admire her in many respects on her attitudes to justice, I have to say Leanne Darzell is out to lunch. That's all I can say. And actually listening to her contribution shocked me, actually. I wonder where she's been living to understand the criminal at Christchurch. So the second thing is, you get a second offence, Mr Chairman, they're going to get a second strike, no parole, because as the Minister pointed out, parole isn't a right. It's not a right. And on the third offence, these are the people, Mr Speaker, Mr Chairman, that should be locked up. That should be put away because they are actually a menace to society. And Leanne Darzell knows that there are people that are locked up that aren't going to come out now. And we seem to be coping. And our number one responsibility of this Parliament and of any government is to keep the people safe. That's why this side of the House is supporting this legislation. And I'm sorry that someone of the stature of Leanne Darzell comes to this House and opposes this bill and quotes spurious arguments from California and odd statements about, quote, implicit assumptions. What does an implicit assumption prove? It simply proves that it's an implicit assumption. It's nothing to do with the facts, nothing to do with logic.
Mr. Chair.